Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and as you can clearly see, we're not in the workshop for once and we're not actually flying, we're in my home office. The reason why is I've just got hold of a copy of Realflight Evolution and we were looking at how to set this up on a Mac. Let's get to it. Okay, so I should start off by saying this is the latest version of Realflight, and also I've never used a flight simulator before. So this is a brand new experience for me. I mean, I did like 4 or 5 years ago when I first got back as a hobby, but just didn't get on with it, and it wasn't Realflight. So I've decided to give it another go. It's winter here in the UK right now, and it's cold and it's wet, and I'm not getting much flying in. And I set a whole load of goals, if you remember in the new year. Those of you who haven't seen that video, it's linked above and below. And one of those goals was to learn iMac, and that's one of the reasons why I've got the simulator, to get some extra hours in while I'm at home. So the first problem is I don't actually have a Windows PC, which is the minimum requirements for this. As a matter of fact, let me read those out to you. Where are they? Yeah, so those that are thinking about this, Realflight, you need to have a Windows machine running Windows 8, 10 or 11 with a Pentium gigahertz, 512 meg of RAM, plenty of hard disk space, 3D accelerated video, etc, etc. And actually, matter of fact, it doesn't really demand a high powerful machine, which is a good thing. However, it does ask you for a Windows machine. Now, as you can probably see behind me just about, I have a Mac. I've been a Mac guy for many, many years, just the way it is. I'm not going to hold down the whole debate of Windows versus Mac, not today anyway. So let's have a look at how we can get this running on a Mac using emulation software. So first off, the purpose of emulation software is to emulate another machine on your existing machine. So it's a way of running a computer inside a computer. And again, the purpose of this video is not to go super technical on that, but that's basically the basic concept. I can run a machine inside a machine. So this time around, what I want to do is run a Windows machine inside my Mac machine. So it will make sense. If you're not technical, so don't worry about it. So there's two choices really. Well, there's a few choices, but the two I'm going to look at are Parrallels, which I've used for years and years and years, and also VMware. We're actually going to go ahead and set up Parrallels this time around, but there's two different ones, and I'll put both those links to the websites below in the description of this video. So let's go and download one of them. Okay, so I'll record the screen as we're going. So if you just go to Google, and first of all, the two that I mentioned, VMware Fusion, again I'll link this below, is the first one. So there you go, VMware Fusion allows you to run multiple machines on top of your Mac using a hypervisor. By the way, both these solutions have free trials, but both are paid for software. So the one we're going to use isn't VMware Fusion, it's actually Parrallels, and that's really because I have a license for it. I mean, there's no real difference between the two of them. They'll both work, and they'll both work for this, for Realflight. So if you can come in here, you can say either buy now, or you can go for a try for free. Okay, so I'm downloading now. Just going to download a small installer file, so I can go ahead and run that. Pretty straightforward, just double click on install for Parallels, click open, enable, so on and so forth, and the tiny installer will go ahead and download the rest of the package. It'll ask you for your admin password, then we'll go ahead and install. And that's it. So what we've done so far is installed the emulation software, and then what we want to do now is actually install an operating system inside the emulation software. So by default, it's going to ask me to download and install Windows 11. So that's exactly fine. That's exactly what I want to use for Realflight. So I'll just hit yes to the defaults. So I say install Windows. We could go and install other operating systems, but let's keep it simple. Install Windows. Then what this will do is go and download the Windows file, and it will start installing it as well. So I've got a pretty fast internet connection here at the moment, but this is a 5 gig file. So allow yourself plenty of time if you're doing this at home. So now that Windows is downloaded, what Mac will do is just validate the package. Then once it's validated, it will start installing Windows into our emulation software. And there we go, so super easy so far. I haven't pressed any other buttons other than the initial download. And there we go, you can see Windows is now installing. Okay, so as you can see, the installation process was pretty straightforward. I literally pressed the download and it's done all this by itself. Downloaded the file, verified it and installed it, and this is the first time I've had to click something. So just let me know installation is complete. Windows, got to accept the license agreement, that's standard stuff. Read it if you wish. And that's it, Windows is installed. So Windows is literally now running in the small window. Windows in the Windows. There's a joke there, but I messed it up. So that's it. So I'm ready now to go ahead and install Realflight. A couple of things you may want to do is, first of all, you can make this window bigger. So you can actually just drag out the edges and stretch it. You can actually click on the top here to run it full screen by clicking the blue icon. I won't do that for the purposes of this video because I've got ultra wide monitor and that's going to look really weird when you view this on YouTube later on. So we'll leave it as a window right now. So in order to install Realflight, now I've got this up and running, you need to install Steam first. So a little bit confusing, so we've got 3 lots of software to install. First we installed the emulator, which was Parrallels, then we've installed Microsoft Windows, then we've got to install Steam, and then we finally get to Realflight. So to install Steam, just literally open up a browser. I'm going to try and ignore anything about logging into Microsoft here if I can. Starts without your data. Just don't want to create an account right now. So this is just the browser. Confirm and continue. Continue without data. Just let me start browsing, please. There we go. So we probably just go to Google and type in Steam. Again, I'll put the link below to this. We want to go to Steam website, and there we are. And we want to install Steam, which is at the top here in the green. Hit install. This is a free download. It's just while that's installing and running, I'll tell you what Steam is. Click install and say accepting all the defaults here, just do next, finish. Then I'm going to say run Steam. It's going to download update. Okay, so while it's doing that, so Steam is basically a delivery platform. It lets you download other software, mainly games within it. So you can actually use Steam to actually purchase and download a game, and Steam will keep that game up to date. And it's also a community, so you can have friends on Steam and you can tell them what games you're playing, etc. So this is just the way that Realflight's now delivered, because no one really ships with CDs anymore, or USB sticks or any other media. It's all download media. It's much easier for them to deliver it over Steam than it is any other service. So don't worry too much about Steam. You don't have to go ahead and have friends in there and use the community. Just use it to get hold of Realflight and also allow it to keep Realflight always up to date for you. So I think that did it while I was talking. Let's just go ahead and see. Yep, so I've just got rid of the website, and there you go, Steam's up and running on the screen right now. Now you need to register an account with Steam, but it's completely free to do so, and I should already have one. So go ahead and log in. Okay, so it's going to ask me to verify my account, because that's really just because I'm using a new computer, just part of security. So you'll probably get this as well, so make sure you've got your email to hand. And there we go. So we've installed Steam and we're now logging into Steam. Now once you're in Steam, what you want to do is redeem your code. So inside the Realflight box, there'll be one of these, and that's basically your version of Realflight. And on the back of it, there is a code on the back, and that code is unique to you, so don't share that code out. That's why I just covered up half of mine, because that is your license of Realflight basically. Now if you gave that to other people, then they'll be able to download Realflight and you won't be able to use your copy, your version anymore. So the code's unique to you, that's what you've paid for. So on Steam, what you need to do is go to the store. If we search for Realflight, hit return. You'll see this way, you'll be able to see it, but because I've already redeemed mine, which isn't very helpful for you guys. I appreciate that, but I've already got it in my collections or downloads already. In my collections, but what you'd normally do, and apologies, I'm not showing you every single step here, is you'll go to the store, you'll type in Realflight at the top. It's pretty straightforward, and there are instructions within the Realflight box for doing this, and you see it there. You can purchase directly online, but we've already got our code here, so you can go ahead and get Realflight. But I've already done that once, so mine is now inside the library. My library, I can see it's here, and there's Realflight. But I don't have it installed on this machine. I've just simply purchased it through Steam. So now what I have to do is actually go ahead and install it. By hitting the install button, telling me it's going to take up a couple hundred gigabytes. No, sorry, it's going to tell me it's taking up 12 gigabytes, but I've got a couple hundred free. And we'll go ahead and install. Accept the end user license agreement. Then in the middle here, if you're new to Steam, it's telling you what's going on. We're starting the download. And it also tells you the last time you played the game, how many hours you've played in total, so on and so forth. You can see that I've already had this downloaded once before. And there you go, it's going ahead and downloading Realflight. So that's another 5.7 gigs to download. But the nice advantage of Steam is it will keep the game up to date for you. And you can purchase additional content for Realflight through Steam as well. But there is also another way of getting more planes and more scenery, more airports rather, free of charge, which I'll cover towards the end of this video. Okay, so just while that's downloading, the next challenge we're probably going to have is actually plugging in the physical transmitter to our Mac. So I went ahead and bought the version of Realflight that comes with the transmitter. Now you can use your own transmitters, but you have to buy a cable and an adapter and get that set up on your Mac or PC first. So I thought, Joe, I don't want to use my own transmitter, I just want to use one dedicated to playing Realflight. So the only thing is it has the old-fashioned USB on it, so the original USB, whereas my Mac has USB-C, I believe it is, on the front of it. So I need to use an adapter. So any adapter that goes from one connection to the other will be absolutely fine. And I can plug this in the front or I can plug this in the back. I've actually got a USB hub plugged in the back, so I'm going to plug that directly into the back of that and leave it permanently connected. Okay, so there we go, Realflight is downloaded. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy so far. So next thing we do is go ahead and hit play. So you've got three options when you launch Realflight from Steam. You go ahead and play it, or you can play it in a VR mode, or you play it on Oculus VR. Now I have managed to get hold of a VR headset, so I'm going to cover that on another video at a later date. But for now, let's go ahead and just play it. And hit yes, because it's the first time I've run it. Then Steam should go ahead and load up Realflight for us. Okay, so I'm getting an error message saying it can't find the controller. So what I'm going to do is actually just plug that back into my normal adapter where I know I've used it before, straight to the front of the machine. And just try that one more time. Okay, can't see it. So if you get this error message, the first thing you want to do is go ahead and check if Parrallels is seeing your USB. So at the top here, you can see I've pressed on that very small icon, which is the USB stick icon, and my adapter is called Interlink. So I just want to click on the interlink to allow Parrallels to use the adapter rather than to allow my Mac operating system to use the adapter. And then hopefully that will make the difference. And there we go, it's working. So basically just be aware of that. I've plugged, just to repeat, I plugged in the transmitter, but what was happening is the Mac operating system was seeing the transmitter and it wasn't passing it through to the Windows operating system. So by clicking that little icon there, Windows can now use the transmitter rather than my Mac. And there we go, Realflight should be working. And it is. Let's just go ahead and see if the transmitter works. Hit fly. Yep, and we can see transmitter is working absolutely fine. So I'm not going to go ahead and fly it right now. What I want to do is actually just stop this and show you a few different things you can change in Parallels and also change in Realflight to actually maximize the graphics and the power of your machine. And then finally, I'll show you where you can get some free content as well. So first of all, in Realflight, if you hit the escape key, you get the menu up and you want to go into the settings and you want to have a look at the graphics and then the quality settings and see if you can do the preset there, and mine's already on the highest there. So if you're having issues, you can drag this down to high, medium or low, or whack up on the highest, or if you want, you can do some custom settings as well. I prefer to start off with the highest settings, and if it's not smooth enough, start gently reducing the settings. And just there on the hardware settings as well, that's where you'd run full screen if you want to. So full screen is currently enabled. We are running full screen at the moment, but we could also make our parallel session, our Windows run full screen, then I can maximize the full space on my monitor. I won't do that just yet. So that's the main one really. Quality, you go ahead and some of these, if you are struggling, start turning some of these off. But quite frankly, I think Realflight only needs a reasonable spec machine. Most people should have that spec already, hopefully. That's where you want to go and play with. So again, if you are having issues, something else you may want to check as well, if I just exit Realflight for a second and go to the back of the sections here in Parallels, you've got the second one in is CPU, USB, and on the far right you've got some additional configuration settings, and this is where you can actually allocate more memory from your Mac to the Windows session. So if you think you've actually got two computers running at the moment and they're sharing the resources of your physical computer, so what you can say, emulation actually takes some more resources or take less resources. Again, I don't want to go too technical. If anybody is having an issue running Realflight and it is running jerky, just drop me a note in the comment section on this video and I'll try and help you out. But just be aware you can change a whole bunch of stuff in there and you can change some stuff inside Realflight. Right, so without going too deep into detail, let me show you where you can get some free content from. So if you fire up a browser again and go back to Google, and type in Realflight forums, and then hit the first link comes back, which should be forums.realflight.com. Again, I'll put the link in the description of this video. And you need to actually register and log in to be able to download content. You can browse, absolutely no problem. But if you create an account by hitting register, fill in that good stuff. Again, I've already got one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and log in quickly. Okay, and there we go, we're now logged in. So in the forums, you get loads of help on the product, but you can also find planes, aircraft, runways that people have done that you can download. So let's go through that process now and I'll show you very quickly how to get one of them onto your machine. So from the home page, just go ahead and hit swap pages. Then in the swap pages you have all the different categories there. Now worth noting that some of the old versions of Realflight, the models, some of the downloads work with Evolution as well, but I'm just going to stick to Evolution for the sake of this video. So in there we've got aircraft, airports and also recordings. So going to aircraft, what do we want? Airplanes, drones or helicopters? I want airplanes. And then if we tip into airplane models, and here's a whole bunch of planes that people have created and adapted and so on and so forth. So be warned that if you download a variant, which I'll just show you now, so if you look at this Flex Innovations Edge 540, that's a variant and it says it requires Pilot RC Edge 540 V3 EA, which is there, you can download as well, before you can make this work, because it's a modified version of that. So you need modifications that are saved in the second file. You need the original file, the modifications on top. But let's not go complicated just yet. Let's go back to the beginning. And I'll just go ahead into models. And I'm going to download, what do I fancy there? There you go, a nice Pilot RC Slick V2 103 inch. Fancy that. So go into the model, this is what it looks like. And then it's got some related variants of it, so people have modified this further, which is pretty cool. There you go, hit the download button in the top right. Now if you don't see that download button, it's because you're not logged in. So make sure you're logged in properly first, and then you've got the download button there. So go ahead and download it. Let's go and download an RFX file. I've noticed it's a little bit slow downloading from the forums, but it does work. Just be a little bit patient, or more patient than me. And there we go. So that's downloaded now and it's in my downloads folder. And there it is in the downloads. So if we just minimize that, I'll come back there later, and then go back to Realflight. Hit play, let it start up. Then just close this dialog box and hit the escape again. And you want to go into My Realflight, Import. So the option you want to select here is Realflight Archives. Then once you hit Realflight Archives, just go and find your downloads folder. So for me, it's on my C drive, in the user folder, my username, and there's downloads. And it's not showing. So why is it not showing? Why can't I see my downloads folder? Bear with me at the moment. I think this is a emulation issue. So it's a good job we've covered this off for you. Because you see, I can see the drives on my Mac as well as the drive inside my Windows machine. So let me bear with me and we'll just check this out very quickly. Yeah. Okay, guys, just go back a step, just worked out what's happening there. Let's come out of this. So what I recommend you do is change the way that your Mac and your Windows machine are actually sharing the folders at the moment, because it gets confusing. So I've just gone and downloaded a file inside Windows there, and it's actually gone to my Mac download folder, which really isn't helpful for me. So the quickest way to do that is come up to the cog again in the Parallels session to go into the Windows 11 configuration box, and just go quickly to options, to sharing, and where it says share my Mac and share Windows, I'm going to turn off the mirror Mac and Windows user folders. So I think that's confusing. And I'm going to turn off the share cloud folders and share Mac volumes with Windows, because I just want to keep my Windows machine completely separate to my Mac. I don't want to be sharing files between them. It's up to you how you do it. Just if you can't find your downloads, it's probably because they're in the wrong folder. Windows can access Windows folders from this Mac, and I'm going to turn all that off as well. So I'm back to basics. So let's just go and try that again. I'll sign out of Windows to supply those settings, so we'll just do that quickly. And then we'll log back in. And now I can already see the desktop's tidy because it's not sharing the desktop with my Mac. But let's go and see, quickly look in Downloads folder and see if I have that file. No, I don't. So let's repeat that process super quick. Okay, so if we go back to the forums there, make sure we're on Realflight Evolution, Aircraft, Airplanes, Airplane Models, and then find the one you want. Note there are color schemes and also variants you can download, but let's stick to the models. And let's go to the Pilot RC Slick V2, 103. And I'm going to download this one. Hit download. That's now gone into the correct downloads folder, which I can check. And there it is, Pilot RC Slick. So now if we go back to Realflight, which was already running in the background, hit the escape key, go to My Realflight, import Realflight Archives, select the download that you just found, Pilot RC Slick, hit open, and you come up the top and it says it's successfully imported. So now let's go and see if we can find it. Hit the escape key to get rid of the menu. Go to the left, hit the aircraft icon. Now loads of planes on here. And there we go. then you have to restart Realflight, Pilot RC Slick V2. Click on it, give it a second to load up for the very first time. And there it is. So let's go and see if it works. Hit fly. Looks good to me. Got smoke as well. Feels good. Okay guys, so as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to get Realflight working on the Mac, which I'm really pleased about, which means I can start practicing now my iMac schedules and also practice that rifle roll that I said I'll try and master this year. So a couple of tips for you then. First of all, if you're plugging in a USB device, which you will be, because you need to plug in the transmitter, make sure that the emulation software is recognizing that USB device rather than your Mac, because if it doesn't, then you're not going to get your transmitter working. And then the second tip is that you can just go ahead and download extra models and extra sceneries and also model color schemes directly from the Realflight forums for absolutely free, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So guys, hopefully that's given you a quick overview. There's also a whole bunch of settings you can play around with in the emulation software and also in Realflight itself to make it even smoother and even better, but I've just set the defaults and it seems to be working absolutely fine. Now, quick thing to note is emulation software is not free. So it's about, depending on which one you go for, it's about either $100 or $150 per year. Now you can get it cheaper than that. I'm sure if you look around, look for voucher codes. I didn't manage to find so I'm currently on a subscription. I think I paid about $100 for mine for emulation software. So it does add a bit of cost to that. I really hate the fact it's a subscription model as well, something that I just want to download once and use once. There are other emulation software out there that are free versions of different software. I've not played around those yet. If I get around to doing that at some point this year, I will of course share that with you guys via another video. So hopefully you found this useful. I'm going to get on and download some more models and start practicing this schedule like I've said I would do for the last year and haven't done so yet. So now I've got no excuses. Guys, leave your comments below and I'll see you next time around.